Hello wonderful people, as promised I'm showing you a real life tutorial of how I painted these cotton postcards, and I'm showing you here the last one of the 4 that I painted, including the palette that I used for it. It was this palette that I was really unhappy about, but I was able to make it work for me. First I taped down the watercolor postcards by Hahnemühle. They are made from cellulose with a actually nice texture, but as they're made from cellulose, they're a little bit runny sometimes and do create runbacks occasionally. But it's something I actually like for these loose backgrounds. I was able to mix a color that almost reminds me of malachite, from this green, the red ochre or light red color, and yellow ochre from the palette. And although I was very unhappy with the color selection in this palette, I really liked the results. I also love to paint cotton. With this color that I mixed, this green, I did cover the whole background, but I left out the shapes of the cotton blossom itself. Then I mixed a warm yellowish, this yellow ochre actually has a yellow pigment mixed in, so it will create a nice golden color. And I did use the light red a lot for these mixes to give it some of these reddish shine. The leaves of the cotton blossom are dried up and have this wonderful rusty color. So I slowly did cover them and was careful to not be too messy with them. I used a silver black velvet brush, and I like it a lot for watercolor painting, but for some reason I don't use it often. They hold a nice amount of water and also have a very wonderful tip that you can paint very detailed, even with a brush that might not be teeny tiny. This gives a lot of flexibility when painting, and I just enjoy it for my art. After I covered the leaves, I let the whole thing dry, and then I mixed a purplish gray that I used for some of the middle tones of the white fluff in the blossom. I had several references that I used and was always looking at how the sun did shine and what shadows it created, where the light source came from, etc. And it does show in the middle tones too, because as you can see, I did leave out whites, especially the borders. I did a little bit of stippling to have not a clean border there, to not have a clean cut. And that's actually what helped me a lot. With a clean brush and some water, I did lighten some of the areas that I felt were too dark and also soften up the borders of this middle tone. After it dried, I went over the leaf with a pure yellow ochre, which again has a yellow pigment in it and on itself is a very bright golden color. I did not cover all of the blossom with it, just the areas where I felt that needed some of the warmth and the sunshine. Then I used the light red to darken up some of the areas. It's not the finished layer still. It just gives warmth and this rusty feeling to the dried flowers. For all of the painting I used several layers. I did not count when painting it, but used as many as I felt were needed to achieve the result that I liked. I had the painting dry in between of the layers, especially to preserve the clean borders and not have it all be mixed up. This one almost felt like a meditation to paint. On the palette I had a premix of a grayish dark brown color that is mostly the light red and the ultramarine, which is too warm for a true ultramarine. In another palette I would have used PR101 and PB60 for the mix of black for this one, but here I chose what I had to. In combination with the light red, it does create like a deep brown, but still with a reddish tone, almost like a burnt umber. As the colors dry very light or lighter as they are painted on, I had to repeat this process to adjust to get the values that I needed. With a warmer color, I did bring some of the warmth into the fluff. I'm not sure how it's called in English, but I brought some of the fluff, some of the warmth in the fluff, and enhanced the darker shades and shadows. Still, I made sure to not create crisp lines, to stipple a little, because it's fluff. It's uneven, and this is something that needs to show in the painting too. When you stipple a bit, you create a texture. Some areas are darker, some are lighter, and you will not cover it completely. So it appears like they're deeper and higher areas, which catch the light differently. That's what makes it appear more fluffy in the painting in the end. For the darker shadow, I mixed a bit more of the gray, this time with a little bit of purple in it. And created the darkest shadows. Here too, I made sure to not create crisp borders, but use the brush to clean it up a little, to make it appear soft and fluffy. With a very dark reddish brown color that I mixed from mostly the purple and light red. I created the darkest darks on these dried leaves. I made sure to enhance the form. And show all the details that were hidden till now. I colored the stem. And even more of the leaves, how I felt like they should look. But I also made sure to leave a little bit of this golden reddish color as highlights. As you can see, this fine tip of this brush that I didn't have to reshape through the painting was perfect to create very thin, beautiful lines. When paintings are sped up, it almost looks like we are rushing through them, like it would take no time to create artworks, but it does. And honestly, I'm a pretty impatient person. When a painting takes too long, I kinda get tired by it. I'm not sure how to say it, but sometimes a subject or a painting just catches me and I can't stop. And while these postcards were painted pretty quickly, as you can see in this video, I really enjoyed them and I did not get bored by them. Of course, I did cut out most of the color mixing time as well as the drying time. But I didn't want to cut all of it out, so those who have problems with color mixing could see how I worked with this palette. For those of you who love pretty and clean palettes, I'm really sorry, because mine tend not to stay clean usually. There you can see how I mix up these wonderful muted darkish brown color using the black, and this will be the darkest of the darks. I did not use black as a color on any of those paintings. I think I used it once or twice in the mixes because I was desperate to make them darker, but I didn't use it for the shadows. Black tends to take away the vibrancy of the colors, and even if I use a dark brown, I wanted to stay vibrant, not be muted. It was a bit difficult with this palette because the ultramarine created this muted, hazy mix that felt a little bit chalky or almost. And I did mention it in the review. But this is what gave me a little bit of trouble with the mixers. I still enjoyed painting them. And I think the biggest problem that I have with this set is the color selection. And I still feel like that. It's not a set that I feel inspired to use. And it's not even due to the quality of the paints, because as you can see, I can work with them. I have no problems to get paint on the paper and have no problems to make it look good. I did deepen up the last shadows, used a little bit of this nice blue, so we have warmer and cooler shadows on this fluff. And then it was done. I hope you enjoyed this little tutorial, and if you're interested, I can make some more. Have a wonderful day, everyone, and I hope to see you soon. Bye!